it kind of dawned on me in around 2000, and I need to be running my own products. Like I need to switch gears here and stop running other people's products or apps. And I need to start running all this traffic to my own. And thus began the brand era really of my ecom evolution. As we got going on that and learning about, what people wanted, the right avatar and what the numbers to really look like in order to make that profitable, especially on volume. A friend of mine one day posted on Facebook, "Hey, I sold something on Amazon FBA." And I'm like, what the heck is on FBA? Never heard of this, right? So I call him up and he's like, yeah, this is this thing called Fulfilled by Amazon. They literally, ship the products, handle the customer support. You use their warehousing. It's a really cool thing. Nobody's doing it right now. You can jump right in and such and such and such. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to try this. So I signed up to their seller account and got going and just started looking for product arbitrage. This is how I originally started, just kind of like a little hustle, right?
Product arbitrage. Man, you're throwing out a lot of cool terms here today.
Yeah, product arbitrage. Buy low, sell high. Yeah, we were looking for deals where, it was $1 of a unit and we could turn around and flip it for $7. We got it for $5. We flipped it for $25. And we were using other people's brands to do that who had already had established, some traffic. A lot of corporations at this point, not individual sellers, were really involved in the early stages of Amazon FBA when it launched. And actually, it's another company that Amazon purchased in order to allow that infrastructure to occur. So FBA is actually a separate company from Amazon. But so we learned basically that, this system, this filing system of Amazon is a giant search engine now, but it's a big search product engine. At that point, Google was becoming big. They were taking over market share like crazy, but it was all information. It was all ranking and SEO to get somebody to digest some information and then maybe go to one of your products or something or purchase something from, once you reach a certain consumer level. Amazon kind of blew all that out of the water because their big filing system, this little engine, was all about producing products and purchases in 30 seconds or less. That's the model that Bezos set, buy all things to all people in 30 seconds or less. And I'm like, well, that's where the buyers are going to be. So let's just stay focused on that, right? So it turns out it's a big search engine. It runs just like the engines we were building that I started my career on, the latent semantic knowledge-based learning engines. Is this engine, this filing system that runs all those products when you click in and you're looking at your reviews and you're at the surface level of your phone? There's a lot of technical crap happening behind all that. But at the end of the day, I realized it was just a big search engine. If you give it what it wants and you dance with it, it will reward you. You don't even necessarily have to have, the best product, have to have the best product. But if you don't have the best product and you rank your product, customers will eventually find you and suck you, and you'll suck you down and you'll die. So there's a combination, of course, of ranking and providing a great brand, and then obviously longevity, profitability will follow. So we started to build brands about 2 years into that process, realizing that, other people's brands, spending all that time and energy was really going to be building somebody else another car, not us. So we got into brand building, and that's when things really took off and got to be fun because we launched a product and another product, and we developed a system, a game plan we call the 5x5 game plan. And we started to deploying those into the brands, repeating that process weekly, quarterly, and looking at 90-day cash flow plans and turning it into a business because we're business builders. And my partner I found right around that time, his name's Reed. He was also a business builder high up in a company he co-founded. He was the VP over $100 million firm. And he had left that about the time I did. And he discovered Amazon around the same time. And I said, hey, you have a business, the knowledge, aptitude, logistics, and, detail-oriented brain. Why don't I come in with my, neuro ADHD brain and what kind of marketing and stuff I can put together, and you help me systematize this, and let's see what we can do. 8 years later, we're still together. We're two halves of the same coin. So he does things I don't, and I do things he doesn't, and we stay in our lane, and we actually do really well at it, which is cool.
It's awesome.
So we just kept launching those, man. Just kept launching.
Let's take a quick break, and then we're gonna dive into like what you're doing today, because man, that is I'm just thinking, and if you're listening and you're thinking the same as me, if Neil's the dumbest guy in the room, then there's some really smart people. And I work with
there's some really smart people out there.
Because I work with neurosurgeons most of my career, spine surgeons, neurosurgeons, ortho. And I always thought I had this complex. I'm like, I'm not a very smart guy. People are like, oh, you're a pretty smart guy. And I'm like, I'm working with geniuses every day. It is a treat when you get to work with people like that.
Back and watch.
Yeah, absolutely. But so a couple things before we jump in. So you're talking about like building knowledge management systems. I just started to implement a system called Notion. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of it? Yeah, it's the course I'm doing is built by a guy called August Bradley. And he's basically talking about how to blend these knowledge management systems with with you as a human, so that ultimately you can access those. So we'll have we'll have to chat about that at some point in the future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, knowledge is so much component of how we learn, how we adapt, when we buy, when we choose certain things, whether we're drawn into the emotional component, whether we're using our right or left brain at the time we decide to purchase or buy or do anything, frankly. And so there's a lot of components of building in what's that implicit knowledge, that knowledge you ultimately understand without doubt. The tacit knowledge, it's the training of knowledge and learning of knowledge in your brain. And of course, there's different ways to adapt learning and audio and visual and other things to people's ability, not just to learn, but to actually purchase. If you apply it over to the side of e-com, we developed a process to basically know exactly what people want from the product we're giving them, so that we get 30 to 50% conversion rates on our listings inside of Amazon every time we put a listing out there.
That's incredible.
So it's formula that we went through and learned how to adapt for every person who wants to buy in that system. So it's systematized. It's a formula. It doesn't change. It's math, right? And so what we do is by the numbers. It is not guessing. It's not emotional. It's not maybe this is going to work. It will work when you follow these steps. It literally just kind of by numbers.
Well, that's what's so cool about you and Reed. You guys are, like you said, you're two halves of the same coin, and you've been able to blend human behavior with spreadsheet algorithms, all this information that now we have access to. And the company that you do this with is called, as we mentioned in the intro, Voltage, right? Yeah, so you mentioned nice. You were talking about your 5x5 game plan. I think that really kind of epitomizes this whole process. It
does.
So maybe we can talk a little bit about what that is and how that blends all this technology and psychology together.
Well, it gets down to one simple question, right? What the hell do I sell? It's the same one everybody has.
What do you do? Yeah, what do you do now? You've done a lot.
What the hell do I sell? Yeah. Well, everybody has that when they get started, even people who are experts to some degree, or people who are already selling in the marketplace. It's the same question I deal with, whether they're in the market and selling, or they're brand new and got a golf course management degree or whatever, and never sold anything online whatsoever. So at the end of the day, again, it's about process. It's about people. It's about the buying signals and the emotional aspects of their buying. So when you find a certain demographic, you tie into that demographic, and then you go deeper into that, right? A lot of people think you go lateral. So if I want to, I need to move to more markets, more channels. What I'm saying is you don't. And that's where a lot of people fail. When you find a particular avatar you lock into, the options aside, there are numbers that are going to flow, and you're just going to keep piling into that. You're going to keep going deeper and deeper into that vertical. And so what I see so many times is people making mistakes of going too wide. Okay. What they think is, if I don't do that, I'm losing opportunity. And what I'm actually saying is you're losing time, money, and energy if you do that. If you apply capital and aspects directly into answering that question, staying focused on who that avatar is and that person, and doubling your understanding of them, you will double the revenue literally out of your business. So when you answer that question, it literally has a number of components that tie together with answering that question. It can't just be, well, hey, go umbrella. Well, that doesn't really add up at the end of the day, because is it work in the numbers? All emotions aside, can I make it profitable? Can I pay for rising logistics and shipping costs? Can I cover my marketing? Can I have people come in and help me automate components of it? Getting my freight charges in, my storage fees, ensuring I have capital to market, obviously purchasing the product. I got to consider all of these numbers in the business, and of course, paying taxes, while also being profitable and making some money from. So in answering that question, there's certain criteria that we go after at a high level right now, because I don't want to take a huge amount of your time today talking about it, but there are segments of this, and I'll give you a pro tip. It's usually women 27 plus. So if you're going to sell to the majority of
that's a good avatar.
On the internet, it's been 27 plus, right?
All right.
They run a lot of the purse strings, a lot of the money. It's the largest buying demographic on Amazon. It makes up the majority of purchases online. Women
I can attest to that. I got one of those in my household.
Absolutely. I got one too. And I'm raising 4 more. So we call it subscribe and spend in my house. So yeah, because you gotta save money. It's by not spending it. It's this whole concept. So at the end of that, you have to realize that there are people just like you who are buying things. And one of the simplest things I ask people to do is, most of us are all Amazon consumers of some level, right? Go to your history.
And everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. Who is not these days? About 125 million Americans, right? So go to your last 90 days of order history. What you need to understand is 6 out of 10 of those, or 60% of the FBA sellers, are third party, just like us. So if you look at those packages and you look at what you've purchased, you're going to find many of those are from third party sellers.
So
now,
I buy a box of protein bars, and this is interesting because I started to figure this out. They're not coming from Amazon.
They're not coming from some other company. No, we're leveraging a simple little equation. Similarity plus familiarity equals trust. Okay.
Say that one more time.
Similarity plus familiarity equals trust. So I'm going to take a brand into the market. I'm going to take a product into the market. I'm looking for similar products that are already selling in the market. I don't need to invent. I am an inventor and I have patents, but realized was innovation is literally where the money is made the fastest and can be the most scalable. Okay. In the least amount of time, because typically an inventor has to do a whole lot of things, patent stuff, and then get people to validate it and go this direction. But innovators see ideas and see opportunity and similarity already in the market, and then just innovate little changes to that, creating a familiarity of that product. I'll give you an example. Okay. So we're going a little by the numbers in terms of the equation a minute ago. We'll come back to that. But we call this don't marry your product, buy somebody else's girlfriend instead. So there are plenty of products in the market that you can steal. Right now, I'm married. I'm not stealing. This joke.
Happily.
Yeah. So we're not talking about cheating. We're cheating on products, not people. Just to be very clear. So these products that are in there, right? They're already selling. There are already brands there. You don't have to guess. You have to pull the data together. Once you pull the data together, it's a data-driven decision at the end of the day. If I know that I'm going to make profitable, if I know where my competitors are and I know what their profit estimations are and the amount of sales they're making, then I'm going to come in and say really simply, can I beat them on profit? Can I buy up their customers? And how long will it take me to do it? All right. So I'm going to
sound of that.
I'm going to attack them. Absolutely. Go ahead. Sorry.
And I said, I like the sound of that.
Well, yeah, because people go in with a shotgun approach thinking, well, if I just throw everything at the wall, something will stick. Right. And there's an analogy that just popped in my head. My dad gave me. I'm not going to tell you I had this toothless thing sticking to the wall. Never side tangent. So so really what we're looking at is a concept of a specific number. We're looking at products that make us more than $12 profit per unit, preferably more than 20 to 30. My business builders and we average more than $35 in profit per unit. That is after land costs, marketing, logistics, shipping, freight, taxes, all of the business. We actually put that much in our pocket for every unit sold, because that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Sure, I can tell you 7 and 8 figures, and that's real sexy. But I know guys who were doing 7 figures who are spending just under 7 figures a year to make it work. That's not profitable. Right? Yeah. It makes sense when your net margins are above 15%, much better when they're above 18 to 20. And when done correctly, our builders are always shooting for 18 to 20% net margin across their entire business. So in very simple terms, a profitable product makes a profitable brand into a profitable business. But we don't have to guess. Remember the equation again, the similarity plus familiarity equals trust. Amazon's your trust. Products are already selling that are in there. Find similar products that are familiar to you or in your purchased history already from the last 90 days, and then start to ask questions about simple first level analysis questions. Okay. Could this product be profitable? If it's more than $50 to $300 in profit, it's probably profitable. Okay. If it's $25 or less, it's not very profitable for the seller. After they add their costs and fees and everything else, they might be making $2 to $3 max. And in many cases, they're making $1. Right.
Yeah.
Because once they get their marketing and high competition and you get the bestseller badge, there's a big race to the bottom pricing problem that people face. We don't play in that. We play with the people. And let me give you this simple analogy to kind of wrap that up. When I go and have an abscess tooth and I want to go to the doctor and I'm looking for the dentist who's going to fix my problem. Okay. There are people who will go and say, hey, can I get in? And he's going to say, yeah, sure. And I'll get you in an hour. It'll be $300. They're going to say, oh, okay, is that what you can do? He's going to say, well, I could do it in 10 minutes for $500. Oh, no, I can't pay that much. Can't pay that much. So the people who are at 300 in 1 hour are typically people who are selling 10, 20 to $30 products in Amazon. What I want is the 10-minute solution to pay $500. And many people do too. In fact, millions of people will pay that. Okay. Because they want that solution. They want it solved. They don't want the pain anymore. They don't want the headaches. They want it done. Okay. So we're at a different level of selling in the marketplace, which has given us a different level of profitability, longevity, sustainability, and actual business building with profits. And that's very, very important, right?